About a month ago, as John and Hank Green were warming up to go on the Tour de Nerdfighting, I decided it was time for a road trip. I love Denver, but sometimes I feel the need to get away. The Tour de Nerdfighting wasn't going to come to Denver this time around, so I decided to take this opportunity to both regain my sanity and to see the Vlogbrothers. For about 50 miles out of Denver, I felt kind of nervous, like I was doing something that I wasn't supposed to. About 70 miles out of Denver, I couldn't stop smiling. For me, road trips are a funny cross between running away from all of my real-life problems and embracing the freedom of being a fake adult being someone who is old enough to have graduated from college, but not old enough to rent a car. Unfortunately, about 50 miles out of Albuquerque, the scary service engine light came on my car, and I had to get it serviced the first thing the next morning. I stopped by a bar near my motel. It had 30 beers on tap, and after a long day of driving, that bratwurst and those deep-fried mushrooms were just about the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. I'm a chronically nervous person, so I obsessed over my car and freaked out a little bit, but the next day as I was walking around downtown, I spotted John and Hank's tour bus, which helped anchor me to the fact that I was indeed in Albuquerque for a reason other than worrying myself to death about the fate of my car. For breakfast, I stopped by a nice little diner, and when the waitress brought me coffee, I thought that this must be what happiness tastes like, and then she brought the Belgian waffle. I must say that people down in Albuquerque really know how to cook. The event itself, of course, was awesome.
To a remarkable extent, we choose what to think about every second of the life that we have, and it is important to note that that life is temporary, and that our consciousness is temporary, and that we will spend, in the literal sense, our lives thinking something. We choose what that will be. So when we think about the relative health of the romantic relationships of Justin Timberlake, we are making a choice to think about that. And when we think about astrophysics, we are making a choice to think about that. So the question, sort of what T.S. Eliot famously called the overwhelming question, is how will we orient our lives? What will we value? What will we prioritize? What will come above all other things? And that question really leads you to the question of what constitutes a good life. We all want to live good lives, I assume. I know I do. I don't know that much about you, but I bet you do. But the question of what constitutes a good life and how to live a good life is really what's at the heart of The Fault in Our Stars. I would argue that first-person shooter video games are to the contemporary United States what Romeo and Juliet were to, Shakespeare's England. They represent our model of how you live a heroic, sacrificial, short life. Because we all know how to have a long, good life. You just live a long time and do a bunch of things. Some of us don't get to have the breadth of experience that everyone else does. Some of us don't escape the capricious universe that cares nothing for whether we suffer. Some of us do, some of us don't. If you don't, can you still live a good life? I would argue that you can. We all recognize this now, that there's nothing smart or beautiful about the decisions of Romeo and Juliet. Well, maybe we don't all recognize it, but we should. I just spoiled Romeo and Juliet for some of you, I apologize. It's still a good read. I would argue that there are other ways to live good lives. The truth is that almost all of us are not going to have those opportunities to have epic stories lived on a big stage that involve war or family strife or politics or whatever. Almost all of us are going to have to lead good lives that are not about that stuff. Our good lives will be about the people we know and the people we love, taking care of them, taking care of ourselves, finding ways to honor the people who came before us, and finding ways to take care of the world for the people who will come after us.
And for my dear sister, I overcame my fear of talking to people and doing things to ask John and Hank to do something for you.
Hi, Sabrina. Hello, Sabrina. I'm sorry you could not be here tonight, but next time we will see you. DFTBA.
I know it's a recurring theme in the Vlogbrothers videos, but the Nerdfighter community really is amazing. It's wonderful to see so many people gathered in one place, not afraid to have a good time. But the event was short and it was time to go back up to Colorado. Tired as I was from the quick turnaround, the road trip really did help lift my spirits. I mean, think about it. The very idea of a road trip is pretty amazing. I get to sit down in a chair that can outrun the clouds for several hours while listening to an audiobook and drinking soda. I love getting out of town because staying in one place for an extended period of time tends to make me slightly myopic. But when I get out and see the world, it always strikes how incredibly awe-inspiring it is that we as a species have managed to carve trails into mountains, or how we have entire cultures based on telling each other beautiful lies to illuminate the truth about ourselves. People are not only capable of achieving great things, but we do so on a regular basis. I'm ashamed to say I forget that sometimes, but when I do remember, I consider it a privilege to be a part of it.